We know that parents, and indeed our children across the country, are concerned about what the future holds for them. But I want to assure you that in the very near future, we shall be communicating after the extensive discussions that are ongoing between parent-teachers associations, with our teachers, with our school administrators. We will be able to come out to you and tell you what plans and programs we have for our education sector to ensure that our children are able to carry on with their education. But in the meantime, in our current budget, we have allocated an additional 6.5 billion shillings to the Ministry of Education. The purpose of this is to hire an additional 10,000 teachers and an additional 1,000 ICT interns to support our digital learning program. The program will also support the improvement of school infrastructure, including the acquisition of an additional 250,000 desks across the country, and these desks will be made by our local artisans across the country. The aim of this particular objective is to get thousands of our graduates off the bench and off the street into action, while at the same time supporting our local artisans, our local builders, and their businesses. The third element of our program will target our small and medium enterprises. During this COVID pandemic, the liquidity of these enterprises has been adversely affected. The stimulus program that we are proposing will deal with this in two ways. First and foremost, we have allocated Kenya shillings 10 billion to fast-track payment of outstanding VAT refunds and other pending payments. I'm also happy to note that just yesterday, the National Treasury released about 30 billion Kenya shillings towards the payment of pending bills in the road sector. In addition to this, we will inject a further Kenya shillings 3 billion as seed capital for the SME Credit Guarantee Scheme. The intention here being to provide affordable credit to our small and micro enterprises. And to do so in an efficient and structured manner, borrowing from the professional standards and practices of the private sector credit arrangements. Health is our fourth target of our 8-point stimulus program. My administration intends to hire another 5,000 healthcare workers with diploma or certificate level qualification for a period of 1 year. This will not only enhance our COVID-19 response capability, but also enhance the implementation of the Universal Healthcare Coverage Program. Further, the stimulus program will set aside a further 1.7 billion shillings for the expansion of bed capacity in our public hospitals. And here, I encourage our Ministry of Health to utilize our Juakali sector in this endeavor. Let us make and build these beds that we shall supply here locally so that that money circulates in and amongst our people. Similarly, resources will be pumped into our medical research facilities to enhance their research capacity, which is critical to generate new innovations in the medical field, new innovations that will not only help us combat COVID-19, but also other diseases and afflictions that may face our people now and into the future. But with the extra resources, these facilities will also undergo some level of reform to optimize their performance. So fellow Kenyans, you will be hearing of changes in the sector of research to ensure that those who are going to be charged with that responsibility and with the resources being given are up to the task of meeting the desire and objectives not just of government, but of the people of Kenya. I am persuaded that these reforms will upscale our medical research facilities to a standard that can indeed rival any in the rest of the world. The fifth element of our stimulus program will focus on agriculture. My administration has prioritized Kenya shillings 3 billion for the supply of farm inputs through e-vouchers, targeting some 200,000 small-scale farmers initially. This is meant to cushion farmers from the effects of adverse weather and to secure food supply chains in the post-COVID-19 period and into the future. Further, under this program, we also have allocated a further Kenya shillings 1.5 billion that will be set aside to assist our horticultural and flower producers to continue accessing international markets in this period where we have a shortage of flights into and out of our country. These interventions will support the sustenance of farming communities and provide continued gainful employment for many thousands of workers in our breadbasket areas. Fellow Kenyans, tourism is our sixth target area. This sector is the one that has suffered most dramatically because of restricted movements and the termination, as I have just said, of international flights. To jumpstart this important sector and to protect its players from heavy financial losses, my administration will provide soft loans to hotels and related establishments through the Tourism Finance Corporation, and a total of Kenya shillings 2 billion will be set aside to support renovation of facilities and the restructuring of business operations by actors in this industry. In addition to this, funding will also be set aside to support the operations of our premier hospitality institution, which is Utalii College, to guarantee the steady supply of well-trained hospitality professionals. The tourism component of the stimulus program will also engage 5,500 community scouts under the Kenya Wildlife Service at a cost of Kenya shillings 1 billion. Additionally, support will be made available to approximately 160 community conservancies at a cost of another 1 billion Kenya shillings. Fellow Kenyans, we want to green our country, and hence the seventh element of this stimulus concerns our environment. To mitigate the impact of deforestation and climate change, and to enhance the provision of water facilities, my administration will rehabilitate wells, water pans, underground water tanks in arid and semi-arid areas. And for this purpose, we have set aside Kenya shillings 850 million. A further 1 billion has also been set aside for flood control measures, and another 540 million for our Greening Kenya campaign. Our eighth and final element of this stimulus program is, of course, manufacturing. As a strategy, we will now enforce with even more vigor the policy of Buy Kenya, Build Kenya. And to this end, my administration has set aside a further investment of Kenya shilling 600 million to purchase locally manufactured vehicles. And this is expected to sustain the operations of our local motor vehicle manufacturers and the attendant employment of workers. I want to also, at this point, also thank our National Assembly and Parliament as a whole for its incisive and speedy consideration and approval of the tax measures that my administration proposed to spur the